What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in. This is Tom Hickey from 20 Media 20, and you are listening to NBT Bank's On the Scene podcast, reaching over 250,000 readers of the Jewish Ledger, weha.com, and West Hartford Magazine, live 24/7, 365. And before we introduce today's host, I'd love to introduce my host, our co-host, Bob Carr. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Tom. Tom Hickey, along with myself, Kaushik Makati, and Ronnie Newton is a founder and partner in weha.com. Tom brings to West Hartford the Connecticut Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, which is West Hartford's original lifestyle magazine, and the various tastes of West Hartford, the best of West Hartford, which will be coming up in the 11th anniversary this fall, and other fun events throughout the year. Our podcast is assembled and posted by the Modern Observer Group of Middletown, Connecticut. And today our guest is Mike Roy of Roy Web Design. Welcome, Mike.
Hello.
So Mike, Mike is weha.com's web guy, as well as 2020 Media, as well as the Jewish Ledger. So can you just give us a little background on you, your services, and what's to kind of set you apart from the folks out there who are pretend to be good web people?
Yeah, I've been doing web design all my life since high school. I jumped around to a bunch of different web agencies, really learned the trade, and realized I can kind of do this all myself. So I went off on my own about 8 years ago. Big focus on web design, web hosting. And then probably about maybe 3, 4 years ago, I really got into the search engine optimization and making sure these websites perform for people. Because that's a problem I see a lot is you get a nice site built and it's not doing anything for you because there's no search engine optimization done to it. And it kind of just sits there and stagnates.
So how does that work? How do you get your websites to kind of populate or bubble to the top?
Many things. Google changes their algorithm quite frequently, and they don't tell you what they change. So you kind of got to do a little trial and error, research things. But generally, content is king. So as long as you're talking about what you actually do, mentioning keywords, locations, your services, you can really shine. It's good to have a page for each service. I usually push for that. You know, you're a home remodeler, you're going to want a kitchen remodeling page, a bathroom remodeling page, where I'll see a master services page that kind of just lists everything they do. And that's no good. You're not going to beat out a competitor that has entire pages dedicated to those services.
So on Google, I mean, I've been to Google a couple of times in New York, and they seem to be very altruistic in how how they approach the folks who are building websites and the websites themselves. Where, as you just said, they want to be specific when you're searching. They want this. I'm not making a search. They want to make sure that I find what I'm looking for. Is that what you find that to be true as well?
Yeah, and you're starting to see that now with their AI snippets that are kind of conquering the top of search. They're kind of letting you know, hey, here are the best results for you. Don't even scroll down, and they link to the site. And that's becoming another cog to the SEO wheel, making sure you're in those snippets and being everywhere you should be.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things before you asked that question, Bob, I was thinking too, as Mike was talking, there really is no better or greater testimony, and I don't want to make light of it. But everything that we publish, weha.com, Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, 20 Media 20, Mike's our guy. We basically go to him, for everything that we live and breathe 24/7, 365, and that's a natural. And I hope for those of you listening, Mike's blushing, but one of the things that we also do inherently, our marketing division, which we've talked about, on this podcast, in the past as well, handles a vast array, of clients, and so many of them have had needs over the years. I've said to Mike at times, oh boy, we've got a new one here. They have no website. They have absolutely no presence, whatsoever. So we're starting from scratch. And then we have others who might have something magnificent, as we have talked about in the past, where they've are spending a fortune, on a website, but getting no results. So that's where Mike and the SEO, search engine optimization, ranking and all that plays a key role. So without boring everybody, I'd love to just name drop, because I did with our own products, people like APK Charities, Andrew Peterson Keel Charities, Hodges Landscaping, Instead Resorts in New Hampshire, the Lyceum Meeting and Banquet Facility, the St. Maximum Colby Parish, in Thomaston, Connecticut. These are it's a vast array. That's a huge variety, of different types of clients, whom we have worked with on a marketing level, but brought Mike in, as the key, website person. So I just want to, if I haven't made it clear, when you work with us, when you deal with us, you're basically dealing with Mike. I mean, that's, we believe in him wholeheartedly,
Thank
in
you.
everything he does for us. Therefore, it's very easy for us to recommend him, as the go-to person. And Mike, if somebody wants to get in touch with you or reach out to you, how do they contact you?
I guess head to my website, roywebdesign.com. Check out what
That
I
was
can
that was
do.
the right answer, right there.
I don't have a website. That would be a problem. Got my portfolio on there, contact form.
and the
And yeah,
website and the website is
I think a big advantage to going with me over those web agencies is you pretty much work with me the whole time. You're not going to get a project manager and someone fresh off the college train working on your site, trial and error, trying to figure it out. I talk to you, I see what you need, I propose a site, I build it, I host it, and of course I have my monthly SEO plans to just keep hammering away at it. And that's what Google likes to see.
Where will you find West Hartford's best and most comprehensive business news? At weha.com. Subscribe to the weha.com newsletter Business Buzz for free every Monday at weha.com. Log on to we-ha.com. We have it all in West Hartford.
So one of the things that I know that folks do, some people have just Facebook as a website, which is one way that small businesses use. They use Facebook specifically as just their website. When you go on, you click on, you're finding Facebook. Other folks use some of the building tools that are out there. What I've understood on some of those other tools that are, I think you're a WordPress guy, we're a WordPress site, that you don't really own your content on some of the websites. Can you just discuss that a little bit, what that means?
Yeah, you have Wix, Squarespace. There's a lot of site builders out there that they're kind of in the box. You kind of got to work with their templates. You can't do everything you'd like to, but you figure out a way to kind of get it done. So by the end of the project, I don't think it's looking as good as if with WordPress, you actually download the files, you build the site from scratch, and then you own it. You're not locked into any monthly fees like Wix and Squarespace. They commonly increase their prices, and you really have no option but to keep paying it because you can't take that site and go anywhere else.
Yeah, that's the key. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that when you start with, say, a Wix or a Squarespace, you build your site, you build your data on those sites. It's not transferable out of those sites to, say, a new site because they actually kind of control your content.
Yep. They give you no way to export that out, that's for sure. Where with, yeah, WordPress, you own your site and you can pretty much take it to anyone in the world to host it. You could host it yourself on a server if you figure it out. So more freedom there for sure.
Since you mentioned that key word, Mike, host, could you talk a second or a little bit
Yeah.
about hosting? I always say to people, a website doesn't do you any good if it's not live 24/7, 365.
Right.
That's
Yeah, a website has to exist on a server somewhere. Something's got to be putting it out there on the internet. And that's a common service, because everyone needs it. And based on your traffic, what kind of site you have, is it e-commerce? Is it something like weha.com that will post a breaking news and get 30,000 views in an hour? So web hosting's different for everyone, and you want to find one that's going to, yeah, keep you online 365 and not have any slowness or any issues. Because Google will penalize you for that, if your site goes offline. They don't
Yeah,
like that.
discuss that a little bit. So discuss the Google penalty. They penalize folks because the same thing I mentioned earlier. They want the optimum reach for the audience, which is other people looking for search, right? That's who their goal is. They're
Yeah.
making money, they're making tons of money, but the reason they've done that is they're very focused on the user experience. So my experience going onto their search engine. So when you can't get your data, when the data when the data falls off the say your server, or you're not able to access it, they're going to penalize you. And what does that mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways they penalize you. For one, that one where your website goes offline, they don't want to send people there. So your rankings will just start to drop. You could see it in their tools that they offer. When that happens, they'll drop all your pages off, and it's not good because Google's not an instant thing. So if you want to get back on there, it could take weeks, it could take months. Another common issue is your site can get hacked. Maybe there's something bad that was put there. They really don't like that. They'll just completely wipe you off Google until you get that resolved. Um, and a new thing is AI generated content. A lot of people are going that route, but Google will penalize you for that. You want to make sure you change that content a bit, or else everyone's going to have the same content on their sites.
Right? Everyone's gonna be saying the same thing.
Yeah.
How do you help protect sites from being, say, hijacked? How does that your company do that?
So with WordPress specifically, you just want to keep your site up to date. Keep WordPress up to date, any plugins you're using. Um, your hosting's important. You want to have good hosting. The server needs to be secure. Um, that would probably really cover it. And keep an eye on it. You can have a monitor to let you know if it goes offline, things of that nature.
Mhm.
You did mention, and I hate to keep jumping in here, Tom. Sorry. I'm
No problem.
fascinated by a lot of this. So with AI and using AI to create data or create information, Google's going to penalize you for that. That's one way they penalize you. I also know that I, I've been to Google once or twice, and they've said, don't try to fool us. Like you can't,
Yes.
right?
Not
You
anymore.
can't fool them. They're smarter than anybody. They're smarter than the folks that are trying to fool them. What happens when someone tries to screw around with their information or the data?
Yeah, if you try and do something they don't like, you'll of course be penalized for that too. And I have clients that commonly ask me, can we backdoor it? Can we get to the top somehow? And no, there's no, just as long as you're doing everything that they want on the SEO end and you're not stepping on any toes, doing anything wrong, you'll be in good shape. Yeah.
Beautiful. Again, Mike, just because we have a little break here for a second, if somebody wants to reach out to you and ask you a specific question, best place to reach you is the website.
Yep, roywebdesign.com, ROY,
There you
webdesign.com.
go. Excellent.
So I wanted to mention that. So I introduced Roy to one of the boards that I'm on, and they were getting overcharged. They were overcharged, I think, for the building the website. But this was before I joined the board, and then afterwards, they weren't getting the services that were required. And since Mike's been on that team, I can't hear. I hear all kinds of praise. They couldn't have been happier, and the cost of their costs have come down in managing the website. So this is after a site has been built. So talk a little bit about that, Mike. If someone's built a site, they've done a nice job building the sites, but the services aren't there for them. How do you step in and kind of pick up where that ball has been dropped?
Yeah, I'll have a consultation with them to see, what they're looking for. And from there, I'll propose a monthly plan. So some clients may not have any interest in SEO. Sometimes I'm a little surprised by that, but they're big enough where, they're not looking for people to find them through Google. So they might just need me to come in every month, do some updates, keep it secure from hackers and such. I'll run a malware scan and make sure the site isn't currently compromised. And then I'll bundle it with a few hours of updates if they need me to do anything. That way they can just email me whenever they need anything. I get it done promptly and no extra bills unless, they need something big.
Got
Yep.
Other than us, Mike, is there any type of business that you prefer to work with, or does it not really matter?
Um, I guess just something new is always fun, I get a lot of home remodelers, a lot of landscapers, and I get something new. Um, it's more interesting, I guess, because I really learn about the business as I build the site out.
Okay, good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
We'll have to seek out some new clients, Tom.
I'm working on it.
There's
As
some
I
interesting ones out there.
Yeah, we happen to be recording this during the summer, and I truly do feel like I've been like one of the very few people who've been working all summer long. It's like I'm like, where is everybody? It's just like
I
just
did see on Mike's site recently, you had some medical product or pharmaceutical. I wish I could remember exactly, but they seem to be somewhere from overseas. I'm not quite.
Yeah, that might be one of my largest clients. They're Dr. Ashley's, and they have like, I don't want to say the wrong number, but at least 10 patents, and they provide third world vaccines to every country, pretty much. So
wow.
they were pretty big. That was a good one. I liked them a
Is
lot.
that something that comes through referrals, or you find most of your business comes through referral?
No, that was actually just a cold call. A guy moved here from Avon and he helps raise capital for businesses, and part of his package is providing a website. So I kind of linked up with him and worked through it that way.
Very cool.
That's
Very
probably
cool.
about 50-50 referrals. And a lot of my calls too are just people that are not happy with their web designer. Things are taking too long, they didn't finish the project, or what I mentioned before, they're just not getting any traffic or business to the site.
All right, so here's a reminder to everybody who's listening, because we are already out of time. That if you are in need of a website, you don't even have a website, you can reach out to Mike if you need to revamp, if it's time to revamp or to make changes. Please give Mike a holler. And Mike, the best place for them to reach you again is your website.
Yep, roywebdesign.com. And
Yep.
thank you.
All right. And thank you to everybody for tuning in today. And remember to support not only Mike with all your website and SEO needs, but also our presenting sponsor, NBT Bank, because without NBT Bank, there would be no On the Scene podcast. So be safe and be well. And we'll look for you in the meantime on the scene.
What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.